I never imagined I'd see a grown woman screaming at my disabled daughter, demanding her wheelchair as if it was hers. But that's exactly what happened, right in the middle of a hospital hallway. It all started on a quiet Sunday morning. My daughter, Emily, had just turned 10. She's the strongest little girl I know, born with spina bifida, yet she never let her wheelchair define her. Her laughter filled every corner of our home. That day, she wasn't feeling well, so I drove her to the hospital for some tests. The ER was busy but calm. Nurses moved quickly, the smell of disinfectant hung in the air, and the steady beeping of monitors echoed down the hall. Emily was smiling, as usual, waving at everyone who passed. I remember thinking how proud I was of her. So kind, so gentle despite everything she faced. We waited in the pediatric wing. A nurse had just taken Emily's vitals and stepped out when a woman in her late 40s walked in. She had that sharp, entitled look, perfectly styled hair, designer bag, and a permanent frown. She glanced at Emily, then at the wheelchair, and her eyes narrowed. At first, I thought she was just curious. But then she muttered something under her breath, something that made my stomach twist. "This is ridiculous," she said, loud enough for us to hear. "Some people will do anything for attention." I froze. Emily looked confused, not understanding why a stranger would say that. I gave a polite smile, trying to keep things calm. "Excuse me?" I asked gently. She turned, fake sweet smile plastered on her face. "Oh, nothing. Just, I've been waiting for a wheelchair for my daughter. But apparently, the hospital ran out. Yet here you are, with one that looks suspiciously new." I blinked. "This is my daughter's personal wheelchair." "But Karen—" "Yes, Karen," just crossed her arms, her voice rising. "We'll see about that." That was the moment everything began to spiral. At first, I thought it was just an awkward misunderstanding. Maybe she was confused or having a bad day. But no, Karen was determined to make us the villains in her story. Minutes later, she stormed off, muttering that she'd get the nurse. I tried to comfort Emily, who was starting to tear up. "It's okay, sweetie. She'll calm down." But when Karen returned, she wasn't calm. She came back with a nurse and a security guard, and the fury in her voice turned heads across the hallway. "There," she shouted, pointing at us. "That's the woman who stole the wheelchair meant for my daughter." The nurse looked shocked. "Ma'am, I'm sure there's a misunderstanding." Karen interrupted. "No, I saw her. She rolled in here with that chair like it was hers. My daughter's been waiting for one for over an hour." I stood up, trembling but firm. "This wheelchair belongs to my daughter. It's not from the hospital. It's hers. It has her name engraved right there on the side." I pointed to the little silver plate that said Emily Grace. But Karen scoffed. "You expect us to believe that? Anyone could have added that." The nurse tried to mediate, but Karen's voice grew louder, angrier. She demanded the guard take the wheelchair away until the truth was verified. Emily started crying. "Mommy, please don't let them take it." That broke me. My voice cracked as I pleaded. "You can't just take a child's wheelchair." The guard looked conflicted. He didn't know who to believe. The nurse checked the records, but the wheelchair wasn't hospital-issued. It was ours, brought from home. Still, Karen wouldn't stop. She started filming us on her phone, shouting, "Everyone look. This woman's using a wheelchair for attention. Probably a fake disability." Every word felt like a knife. I saw people staring, whispering. Emily hid her face in my jacket, shaking. In that moment, I realized this wasn't just a misunderstanding. This was cruelty, pure, deliberate cruelty. And it was about to get worse. By the time hospital administration got involved, Karen had already spun her story. She told anyone who'd listen that I was pretending my daughter was disabled to get special treatment. A doctor came to talk to us privately. His tone was calm, but I could see the unease in his eyes. "Ma'am," he said carefully, "we've had a complaint. To be safe, we need to verify that this wheelchair is truly yours." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You're seriously doubting me? My daughter's medical records are right here." But Karen was loud, persistent, and dramatic. "Check the security footage," she demanded. "She probably took it from the equipment room." Fine, I thought. Let them. I had nothing to hide. While the staff went to review the security cameras, we were told to wait in a side room. Emily sat quietly, her small hands gripping the wheelchair's armrests. Her eyes were red from crying. "Did I do something wrong, Mommy?" she whispered. My heart shattered. "No, baby. You did nothing wrong. Some people just don't understand kindness." I wanted to scream. How could anyone look at a child like Emily and accuse her of faking? Then Karen walked by the glass window of the waiting room, smiling smugly. She mouthed, "You're finished." That was it. Something in me snapped. I stood up, pacing the room, my anger shaking. For years, I'd taught Emily to be strong, to never let cruel people win. And now, I had to show her what that really meant. When the administrator returned, his expression was unreadable. "We reviewed the footage," he said. Karen straightened up, ready to celebrate. But the next words wiped that smirk clean off her face. "The video shows you, ma'am, entering the pediatric storage area and attempting to remove another wheelchair. When a nurse stopped you, you left, and 5 minutes later, confronted this woman instead." The entire hallway went silent. Karen's eyes widened. That's not true. It's edited." But everyone had already seen it. The truth was undeniable. Karen's face turned red as the administrator played the footage on a tablet. The sound of her own voice echoed through the hallway. "I don't care. My daughter deserves a better one. That one looks brand new." Gasps spread through the small crowd that had gathered. The security guard, the nurse, even random patients stood frozen. I turned to Emily, who was watching through teary eyes. "See, sweetheart," I whispered. "The truth always comes out." Karen began stuttering, trying to shift the story again. I was confused. I thought it was hospital property. I didn't mean. But the administrator cut her off. "You accused a child of faking a disability. You caused a public scene, and you tried to steal equipment from this hospital. You will leave immediately." The guard stepped forward. "Let's go, ma'am." She refused to move. "I'm not going anywhere. You people always take their side," she screamed, pointing at us. "They're lying. Everyone's lying." Her voice cracked. Tears of frustration, not remorse, spilled down her cheeks. She was cornered. The performance was over. The guard escorted her out as she kept shouting about false accusations and lawsuits. But no one listened. Not anymore. Emily's doctor came over, knelt beside her wheelchair, and smiled softly. "You're very brave, Emily. Don't ever let anyone make you feel small." For the first time that day, Emily smiled again. I took her hand. My anger slowly faded into relief and exhaustion. As we left the hospital later that evening, the nurse who had helped us walked us to the car. "We're so sorry you had to go through that," she said. "People like her, they never think about the damage they cause." I nodded, strapping Emily's chair into the back seat. Maybe she'll think twice next time. But deep down, I knew she wouldn't. Some people only learn when they're exposed, and Karen had just been. A week later, I got a call from the hospital director. They told me Karen had been banned from the facility for disruptive and abusive behavior. Apparently, she'd done similar things before, always playing the victim, always causing chaos. They also mentioned that a few staff members had shared what happened on a private healthcare forum. The story spread like wildfire. People were shocked at how cruel someone could be to a disabled child. As for Emily, she bounced back quickly. Kids have a way of healing faster than we do. But that day left a mark. Not on her body, but on her heart. One night, as I tucked her into bed, she asked, "Mommy, why did that lady hate me? I didn't do anything to her." I sat beside her and took a deep breath. Because sometimes, people hate what they don't understand. But that's not your fault. You just keep being you. She smiled, sleepy-eyed. "Okay, Mommy." When she drifted off, I looked at her and thought about the people who face this kind of cruelty every day. Those who are judged, mocked, or doubted just because they look or move differently. If Karen's outburst did anything good, it was showing me how strong Emily truly is, and how ugly ignorance can be when it hides behind entitlement. Before that day, I used to stay quiet when people made rude comments or assumptions. Not anymore. Now I speak up, not just for Emily, but for anyone who can't. Because the world doesn't need more Karens. It needs more people willing to say, "That's not right." And as for Karen, I later heard she tried to post her version of the story online, but someone found and shared the hospital footage. Let's just say her lie didn't survive the internet. Justice, it seems, has its own way of rolling in. If you were in my place, what would you have done? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more true stories like this.